Recording in progress.
Thank you very much. Keep in mind, much healthier. It's January 3rd. It's a Wednesday. Oh, when I'm packing up, I was in the shop this morning. Oh, you mean you made putting things in boxes?
Samach Dal. Okay. So yesterday we spoke about that the father could marry off his daughter, and it talked about that he forgot who it was yesterday. Yesterday he didn't know who it was, and then the people come and say that it was me. That was yesterday. So the Gemara here is backtracking a little bit to the Etzem Yisod that a father has jurisdiction and is neman to marry off his daughter when she's a ketana, when she's an Ira also, till the Bulgarians. But here, okay, so Kiddushin is beating. If a man said that I married off my daughter, I accepted Kiddushin for my daughter, or Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiya, I married her and also accepted Gerushin for her also, and he's also just authorized to accept the Gerushin for her. Keshehi Ketana. And Ketana here, I think that Ketana doesn't only mean until she's 12, I think it also means till she's 12 and a half, because as far as all these halachas, and Naira also has the din of Ketana until she's a Bulgaria. So I didn't notice, but I think I didn't look enough. But I think that Ketana Gedola here means less than a Bulgaria and a Bulgaria. So the first case is that he says that I married her off, or I married her off and she got divorced through me when she was a Ketana, Ba'arei Ketana. And she still is a Ketana. It means he's saying this while she's still a Ketana. While she's still a Ketana, he says that I married her off. Or he says I married her off and I accepted the Gerushin. In all these cases, he's neman, because she still is a Ketana. But what if he said, Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiha, kishi Ketana, but harei Gedola, that right now she's a Gedola already. Of course she can't do it when she's a Gedola. Gedola meaning Bulgaris. When she's a Bulgaris, he's not with them, can't do it anymore. But the issue is here that he's saying that I did it when she was a Ketana. She happens to be a Gedola now. Now when she's 15, he says that I married her off when she was 9. So here it says Enu Neman. He's only Neman if she's still in the present Matzab that she's a Ketana. The idea is okay without the reasons, just the idea that in the case, the ratio is going to be a case while she's still a Ketana. He's Neman. Second case is that she's a Gedola already now. Of course, he can't marry her off when she's a Gedola. Right. But the point is that he's not even Neman when she's a Gedola to say what he did when she was a Ketana.
What's with the Neman? I'm not getting the Neman.
The father is coming and tell us that he married off his daughter.
Oh.
Or he says he married her off.
Otherwise?
Does he have the money to say that he married her off? Does he have the money to say that he married her off and she got divorced? So it says as long as she's a Ketana, he's Neman. When she's a Gedola, he's not Neman. Yeah. Even though he says he did it when she's a Ketana. Of course, if he can't do it when she's a Gedola anymore, when she's a Bulgaris, she's already out of his jurisdiction. But the issue is that he's not Neman. He's not believed to say that he married her off when she was a Ketana if she's presently a Gedola. Mm-hmm. Another halacha. So that just to get the cases over here.
What does it mean he divorced her?
He accepted Gerushin for her.
And now she's supposed to do it.
Right.
Oh, that's another. Right. Because it has a lot of halachic ramifications.
So it says that if she's a Ketana, still he's Neman. If she's a Gedola now, he's not Neman. Another case, Nishbis Ufadisiya. The Ufadisiya is not so relevant, but he comes and tells us that she was captured. She was captured means that she's also Pasal Tikuna. We had Allah that Shvuya is Pasal Tikuna because they might have molested her. And she's also to marry a Kohen. So the father's coming to say that my daughter is also to a Kohen. Ufadisiya is not the subject so much, of course. He redeemed her, somebody else redeemed her, whatever the case is. But she was captured and she's also to a Kohen. So it says, Ben Shiktana, Ben Shikdola, Enu Neman. He's not Neman even if he says it while she's a Ketana. No one is to say that she was, he's not like anybody else. Anybody that says he's even a relative, but anybody is not Neman, you have to have two Eidim in order to say that she was a Shvuya, in order to ask her to a Kohen. Or she herself says that she was Nishbesi. But otherwise, you have to have two Eidim. We see a father is Neman to say that his daughter is also to marry a Kohen because he's allowed to say Kiddashtiya v'gerashtiya. This first case that Avrohom pointed out that she's also to a Kohen. If he says that I married off and I divorced her, no one knows anything. As far as everybody knows, she never was married, nothing happened. Then the father comes and says this girl is also to marry a Kohen because she was married already and she was also divorced. So the father's married, well, Neman, as long as she's still a Ketana. But to say that she was captured and therefore she's also to a Kohen is not Neman.
What is all all nishkits, what do you call it? People who are taken into captivity, are they always going to chew him? Are they always going to be a sort of point?
Yes, unless there's Aiden that she was not molested. And if we didn't know that she was captured and she comes on her own, then she has a peshasa. She can say Nishbesi Torani because we don't know that she was captured only by her own words. So she's wanted to say that I was not. But if we know that she was Nishbesi, then she's also to a Kohen. She wouldn't be married. You wouldn't be allowed to marry a Kohen. So that the Mishnah seems to have three cases. The first one is it says in the beginning Kiddushi is biti, even without the Kiddushi Gerashtia. Maybe we'll just make the three cases Kiddushtia v'Gerashtia. And Barei Ktana. The second case is also, let's make a little color over here. Kiddushtia, Gerashtia, and Barei Gedola. And over there it says Eino Nema. And the third case is, he says Nishbeis. And PDC, that doesn't make a, and over there doesn't make a difference if she's a Ktana Gedola. It says Eino Nema. The first case it says Nema, second case Eino Nema, third case Eino Nema. The middle case, the case of Eino Nema is only because if she's a Gedola. But the third case that it says Nishbeis is not Nema, even if she's a Ktana. Okay, what does it say, Kitzer? That a father's Nema to say about his daughter that he married her off. And also that she was divorced, but all that's only Neman while she's a Ktana. When she's a Gedola, he's not Neman anymore. And to say Nishbeis, the father's not Neman at all. And the Gemara wants to know how come. How come in the first case he is Neman and the other two cases not Neman? The Gemara starts off. The Gemara thinks that the first case, the reason why it's Neman is because it's in his hand, since she's a Ketana and he has the ability to marry her off and to accept her Gerushin. So he has Biyada. Biyada means that it's in his power. Since he could do it, so he's Neman. The Mishnah is not talking about if he has the jurisdiction to do it. We know the halachas. He has jurisdiction to do it as long as she's a Ketana or Gedola, Ketana or Naira until she's a Bulgaris. But the issue is about his Nemanus. And why is he Neman? And the Gemara says the Nemanus is because he could do it. Since he could do it, so he has the Nemanus to say that he did it. And only the first case does he have the power to do it. He could accept Kiddushin, he could accept Gerushin, but he can't do it when she's a Gedola now. Even though he says that he did it when she was a Ketana, but right now he can't do it if he wanted to because she's a Gedola already, she's a Bulgaris already. And the case of Nishbis, he can't make her be captured. So he doesn't have the ability to do it, so he's not Neman. That's how the Gemara first looks at the Mishnah. He can't make a puzzle by being captured. He can't capture her.
So but he's a witness. I thought that's the whole point. He's only saying
he's not. There's no. He's not. One witness is not enough, and he's also a relative that he wouldn't be known because of a witness. Only because of a special thing of a father, or something. So the Gemara doesn't say anything special about a father either. The Gemara says that the father happens to be biyada, since the father has the jurisdiction to marry her off, and to accept her Kiddushin, her Gerushin. So since it's biyada, and that would have made a puzzle to go now if he wanted to. Both of them. To both of them, right? Both of them, he has ability to accept Kiddushin for her. He has ability to accept Gerushin for her.
Accepting the Kiddushin for her, then she's married.
And then he has ability to accept, right? And he has the ability to accept Gerushin for her also. So since it's biyado to do it, he has the power to do it. So therefore, he's never to say that he did it. But in the cases that he doesn't have the ability to do it, like the case when she's a Gedola, he doesn't have the ability. He can't do that if he wanted to. So he's not never to say that he did it. And also Nishbeis, he doesn't have the power to make her a shvuya. So there's no Nemanus. He's a regular Jew. He's not Neman to say anything about it.
If a girl comes, a Gedola, and she says that she was captured, is she believed to say about herself?
Yes, and then she's not allowed to marry a Kohen.
Right, but then she is believed. A Katana, and now a Katana comes and she said that she was.
Maybe not. Maybe Katana doesn't have any Nemanus. Maybe she's not. Maybe
But a girl could say it on herself.
If she says that it's basically Torah, that even though I was captured but nobody touched me, so then she's a mutter because our whole legal, right? Because she can say Lonish basing.
She could have kept quiet.
It's called Pesha also Pesha Hitter. The mouth that answered it is the mouth that was matter.
She could have kept quiet. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
But so like all these people in Gaza.
They're also to marry.
Is that called Aegis?
Yeah, we know for a fact that they were captured. So then they should come back safely, and they're also to Kohen. The girls are going to be also to Kohen.
Unless they say that they weren't.
No, it doesn't make a difference. Even if they say they're not going to.
Yeah.
Because we know without there, it isn't them with it. It isn't their testimony that's telling us that they were captured. We know that they were captured.
Oh, it has to be their testimony that they were captured for them to say.
If it's only Pesha Asar, Pesha Heter, if they're the only source of our information that she was captured, so then they could also tell, but they didn't touch me. But if we know that she was captured, so she's not able to say that she wasn't touched. Of course, we're going to be very happy if we hear that she wasn't touched. But it's not going to be enough to marry a Kohen.
Okay.
They should all come back safely.
I mean, that's why I should put it in the mission so we can scare them through the time.
So the Gemara is talking about why is the father not Naaman? Why is the father not Naaman to say that she was captured? He's not to wait them. So why is he? He's not to wait them. He's not Naaman. But the Gemara wants to know that came. Sorry, and said that. Well, how come he's Naaman in the beginning? How come the first case is Naaman and the second two cases is not Naaman? The Gemara thinks it depends on the concept called biyodo. The first case is biyodo to make her what he says that she is. So he's Naaman to say. But in the other two cases, he's not Naaman to make her what he's saying that she is. So therefore, he's not believed. He can't marry her and divorce her, marry her off, divorce her after she's a Gedola. So he's not believed to say that's what happened. And he's not biyodo to make her shvuya. So he's not Naaman. That's how the Gemara starts. But the Gemara says, is that not so? Could he not? It's true, he can't make her a shvuya. But if he can make her usher to a Kohen in another way, that's also called biyodo. So the Gemara says, V'kasha below, is it not possible for him to make her usher to a Kohen? Of course, he can't make her a shvuya. But if there are other ways that he could make her usher to a Kohen, that's also called biyodo. If he'd marry, he has the ability to marry her off, and he wants to marry her to a person who's a challah, somebody who's a result of Isurei Kuna, that the parents, it's a union of the parents who were not allowed to marry because of Kohen issues. That a Kohen married a Grusha, Halal, Zona, so the child born is a Challah. And that Challah, if the Gemara is saying if the Challah is going to have relations with the Yisraelis, even though they're allowed to, Israelis is allowed to marry, Challah is allowed to marry Israelis, but the girl is going to become puzzled to marry a Kohen, even if he would die.
If she were married to a Challah.
Right.
I'm not getting the kasha though. What is he doing? To whom?
His daughter. The father has a possibility. The father is saying, my daughter is muscle to marry a Kohen. He's saying my daughter was captured, and therefore she's also to marry a Kohen, and we don't believe him. So he's coming to say, you should believe me because I have the power to make her a puzzle to a Kohen. Because if I wanted to, that's the only don't over here. The whole subject is that in the power of the father to make a puzzle to a Kohen. So the father does have a power to make a puzzle to a Kohen if he wanted to. It's true he couldn't make her captured, but he could have made her marry a fellow because he's a jurisdiction on her marriage, and he has a minor, right? And he has the right to marry her to who he wants, and he's allowed to marry her to a fellow. No, except for Israelis to marry a fellow. If you're allowed to marry her to a fellow, she become puzzle to kuna after they have relations. Lasia. Well, it's not only Kiddushin, then Nesuin, also having relations to consummate the marriage. And he could marry her to a fellow, and she'd be puzzled to marry a Kohen, even if the husband would die. And she'd only be an almana. She wouldn't be a grusha. She also will become, from then on, she's puzzled to marry a Kohen. So you should trust him that she was captured and puzzled to marry a Kohen from now on, because if he wanted to, he could have puzzled her by marrying her to a Kohen.
We're talking about the case of capture.
Yes, we're talking about the father who says my daughter was captured.
Why don't we believe him on a basis that this isn't good for her or for him? Meaning, what benefit does he have in saying she's captured that we're not believing him? Or is that why? What's the preface?
It's like anybody else. An Eidachah does not believe. One witness that comes and says that she was captured, we ignore him because only one witness, and a puzzle ate shortly. So there's not enough testimony over here that he should believe. Only it has to be a reason why he should be believed. Even it's not enough that he has no negios, like anybody. Any Eidachah that comes is not enough testimony to make her usher.
Isn't this the first case?
What's the first case? No, the first case is
the first case is. And I can accept her get, and then I made her puzzle, and I can marry her off to a hollow, and then I also made her puzzle. So it's the first case. So the first case, it's similar to the first case, but it's not. The first case is because he made her puzzle by getting her divorced, and that the Gemara says is biyado. You're asking a kasha, but the Gemara doesn't ask you a kasha. The Gemara doesn't ask that he could make her also by marrying her to anybody and getting her divorced. You're asking a kasha. The Gemara doesn't ask you a question. It doesn't seem like the case of the
We're talking about the case of Nishbez. What in this case? Why is he not believed? Why is he not believed to say my daughter is also?
He can't capture her.
He can't make her capture. Right. but he could make her puzzle to Cohen in another way. And the Gemara says, you know what other way? He could have married her to a challah. You're asking a little different than the Gemara, that he could have married her to anybody and gotten her divorced.
That's not the other.
The Gemara calls it biyod. That's what the you have to say it's called.
Not the gasha.
So it's a nice kasha.
That's right.
It's a nice kasha, but the Gemara at this point doesn't know that. The Gemara starts off, how come he's believing the Resha? Because it's biyado. Now, this is asking a kasha that the Gemara is going to say later on. It's biyado to accept Kiddushin, but it's not biyado to get her divorced. It's true he has a hand. He could stretch out his hand to get the Gerushin to receive it, but the guy has to want to divorce her. That's the kasha we have to put into the freezer, or into the oven, one of the two.
Yeah, but here,
Not
the
yet.
hollow, to marry her to a hollow, I thought that's the same as like receiving the get.
So-
It seems like the first case.
So yeah, because that's the kasha that the Gemara could have asked a simpler kasha instead of going into the case of Holo. The Gemara could have said, "Let him be believed," to say that she was captured because he could have married her and divorced her, and the way also would have been puzzled to Cohen. So you're also asking a kasha different than the Gemara's kasha.
Okay.
And Rashi is asked the kasha.
But he couldn't divorce her because that's up to the husband, not the.
All right, that's having this discussion. That the
Yeah.
Gemara is going to have later on, but the Gemara at this point does think that he has a
Yeah,
hand
he
to
has it in
accept it,
his hand.
and that's a kasha. It's a good kasha. It's a knockout kasha. There's not going to be a test of that kasha. But at this point, the Gemara thinks it's beyond. Then we have to go with the flow.
So again, the way we're learning it here is, since he could marry her to a
Hollow and
when
make her
after
part.
she was redeemed,
They will know.
nothing to do with it.
He comes and says she was captured. We look at him like he came from the moon. Of course she wasn't. No, we don't believe that she was captured. Yeah, we don't. He says she was captured. We don't believe him. So he's saying you have to believe me because if I wanted to, I could have made a puzzle by marrying her to a challah.
could have made her listen. So.
And you're asking also another kasha that he says you're putting it to the father's mouth. You have to believe me that she was captured because if I wanted to, I could have married her and divorced her to somebody, and she would be puzzled to Cohen. So believe me that she's was captured and puzzled to Cohen.
Okay.
So Rashi says the reason why the Gemara doesn't ask your kasha is because being captured makes her also puzzled to eat truma, and being divorced doesn't make her puzzled to eat truma. It only makes her puzzled to marry a Kohen.
Captured makes her puzzled.
Puzzled to eat truma. If she's a Kohenes, or
Oh, I see.
this is Rashi. Rashi points this out.
If she's not a Bas Kohen, Kohenis is married to a Kohen.
If she's not
A Bas
even
Kohen.
Bas Kohen also cannot marry. Once she's
A Bas Kohen can't eat truma after.
Problematic.
Problematic what?
Relationship.
Problematic relations, so then she's got a truma.
Bimtoma Arab Yodel Apostle of Kiddushin Begerushin. The answer is Hasa Mikuna Pasala Mitruma Lo Pasala in Bas Kohen. I will nishbes psul often at truma. So I think Rashi is addressing your question.
Thank you. Okay.
But so Gemara talks about when he says nishbes is he believed, and it says no because it's not biyado. The Gemara is saying it is biyado to marry her to a halal that will pass her from kuna. Halal kasha, that wouldn't bother us. Ben Yehuda, we're going to see that. We're not going to see. It's right here. Ben Yehuda holds that Bas Yisrael does not become puzzled by marrying a halal. She doesn't. The words that he says here is that Benos Yisrael are like a mikvah to purify a halal. If someone's a halal, so he has a problem that all of his children forever are going to be halalim. So if Yudhi says not that if he marries, that's only he's not allowed to marry maybe Bas Kohen, I'm not sure, but when he marries a Bas Yisrael, so then it's like a mikvah. That means that it becomes purified, and the children born are not going to be halalim. And Rashi says that the woman also doesn't become a halalim if the children are not halalim. So the woman that had the mother, the one who had relations with this halal, is not going to become this halal lakuna. So the Gemara found the shita. Seems we don't pass like that. We pass like the first Gemara that if someone has relations, the Bas Yisrael has relations with the halal, also becomes a halal, and the children are going to be halal. And that's what we pass that the halal forever. All of the sons are going to be halal for all generations.
That's good.
Yeah. So a person has to watch over his kahuna.
It's really only milked down for his daughters, for the whole daughters.
Because the halal,
It's not.
but his yichus is them is tainted yichus. That is a halal.
One of his daughters can marry one.
Right. Right. So the Gemara got out of the kasha that this our Mishnah, you know why our Mishnah says Nishbase is not Neman? According to not Neman. According to most Shitas, it would be Neman because he has a migu that he could have married her to a halal. But according to the story Ben Yehuda, that marrying to her to a halal wouldn't make her pasal akuna So there's no migo. That's why it's not named to say that she was captured. Next kasha, he could marry her to a mamzer and make her a puzzle to marry a Kohen. Now that you're not allowed to do. The first kasha about a cholol, he was allowed to do. This is not allowed to do, but the Gemara still considers it biyado if he has the halachic ability to do it, even though he's doing an avera. He's not allowed to make his daughter marry. That's like you're not allowed to marry a mamzer. But if he would, it would be tofis Kiddushin. He did avera, but more holds that
He's capable.
he's
Not
capable,
allowed
even
to
though he's not
because
allowed.
it
It's
is
still called biyado,
Biyado.
even though he's not allowed to do it. But if he does it, he did it. So the more is saying, so let believe him that he says that she was captured, because if he wanted to, he could have gotten the same result of making her a lakuna by marrying her to a mamzer, and then she would become having relations with a mamzer would make her lakuna.
Are all these things then like a Miko?
Yeah, but
It's a
you
Miko.
could-
I could have
it's
done
a
that.
biyado,
and I said
yeah.
this will be-
Is it called migo or it's called a biyado? Biyado. The more is new the word migo. It's very similar, but biyado means that he has.
It's not Biyado to say that she was captured, is it?
It's
Was that called
biyado. No, it's
I thought
no.
it's a Miko that I could have said I married her to a monster. No,
Since it's biyado, I don't know. Maybe it's called biyado, but
Biyado
Biyado
is
means
stronger,
that-
no? He doesn't have to
Biyado
say.
means
Could
that
have
he
said she
has
was
ability.
possible.
I could have made her. I could have made her lakuna,
And you believe it.
and then I had the power to do it. I could do it. Not a question of belief. Migo is a little different. Migo means that if you think I'm a liar, I'd be a bigger liar. So believe me that I'm not a liar.
Yes.
But here he's saying more, that I have the ability to do it. Believe
I
me,
have the ability to do
believe
it.
me, because I could do it. If I want to, I could do it.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it is very similar. So Maskash is that to believe him because it's biyado
The
to
other
pass
sounds stronger, actually.
it
The other sounds stronger.
sounds stronger.
Yeah.
He has the ability to do it. So maybe he's not allowed. He's not allowed to, but he could. The answer is that the mission is going to go according again to a certain shita. Kiva holds what's called a mamzer. So we hold that only chayve krisos. Says that then Kiddushin is not tofes. But a chayve lavin, we hold Kiddushin is tofes. And the issa to marry a mamzer is only allowed. Of course, the mamzer is created maybe by having, but the issa to marry a mamzer is only allowed. So we held in the kasha that he's allowed, that if he would do that, Kiddushin will be tofes, and he made his daughter, and therefore, and he has the right to do it. It means the father's jurisdiction is to marry his daughter off, but only in a way that marriage takes effect. If the marriage doesn't take effect, so he has no jurisdiction on it. He can't just take his daughter and make her have relations with somebody. He has the jurisdiction to marry her off. So if it's a marriage which is taking effect, he has jurisdiction. If it's a marriage which doesn't have effect, he doesn't have jurisdiction. So the Gemara says, according to Rabbi Kiva, that says, "Ein Kiddushin Tosin b'chayve lavin," which mamzer happens to be a chayve lavin. So Rabbi Kiva holds that Kiddushin wouldn't be tofus, like any kind of chayve lavin, and therefore the father doesn't have jurisdiction to do that. So according to his opinion, it's not called biyado. So the mission that says that the father is not neman to say his daughter is a shvuya would fit according to Rabbi Kiva that he doesn't have this biyado of marrying her to a mamzer.
We don't pass them.
We don't pass like Rabbi Kiva. We hold that Kiddushin is tofus b'chayve lavin. Rabbi Biyado la'asiyah one of the Kohen Gadol. Rabbi Simoi, the Tanya Rabbi Simoi Yomer. When I told us Rabbi Kiva mamzer, chutz mi one of the Kohen Gadol. Shall Yom Torah lo yikach lo yichalel chilul l'moseh they know some mamzerim. I just read the words, but it's about 5-6 lines, and it's one bekasha to say. I'll say it outside without the words first, and then fit it into the words. That even according to Rabbi Kiva, that Kiddushin is not tofes b'chayve lavin, but he also holds Kiddushin is tofes be'almon l'Kohen Gadol, which is an asay. Rabbi Kiva, what Rabbi Kiva hold is Kiddushin tofes b'chayve asay. Chayve asay means the Torah doesn't say don't do it. The Torah says a positive thing, like a Kohen Gadol should marry a basula. It doesn't. What? Is chayve lavin over there also? V'hakohen Gadol mi'achov asher yitzak avosho. So I said it wrong. Not a chayve asay, but this Rabbi Simoi says there's an exception. Even though, thank you. Even though Rabbi Kiva says that Kiddushin is not tofes b'chayve lavin, he says there's one exception. The Amalek Kohen Gadol, even though it's a low saseh, it is tofes Kiddushin. So if you find a case, now a father can't make his daughter into a almana, can't do that either. But here Rashi says it means in the case that she's an almana. What if this daughter would be an almana? Means it's a long story already. That this Ketana has been married and her husband died, and she's an almana. She's not supposed to marry a Kohen. She's only an almana. She can marry a Kohen Gadol. She can marry, but now he has the ability. He has the ability to make her apostle Tikuna because he could marry her to a Kohen Gadol. And Rabbi Kiva also agrees over there that Kiddushin is still face, and she'll be partial to a Kohen, because even though it's allowed, at this point, even though it's allowed, it's an exception. And he brings a person to say that it's an exception. That Rabbi Simoy says that according to Rabbi Kiva, everything is a mamzer, even all chayvei lavan, except for Aman Kohen Gadol. That's an exception. That even though it's chayvei lavan, Rabbi Kiva agrees that Kiddushin is tofus. Why? Sharei Yom Tov lo yikach. It says he shouldn't take almana and he shouldn't cause his children to be halalim. And the drash is chalulam oseh vein oseh mamzerim. That the child that's going to be born is only going to be a chalal and not a mamzer. And if Rabbi Kiva would hold that Kiddushin is not tofus, the kid will also be a mamzer. That's a drash to figure out how Rabbi Kiva holds that Kiddushin is tofus. Aman l'kohen gadol. So what did the Gemara do? Even though he said Rabbi Kiva that Kiddushin is not tofus, that he doesn't have the ability to make his daughter pasal tekuna by marrying her to chayvei lavin, because he doesn't have the jurisdiction to do that. But even Rabbi Kiva, in a case where she's an almana, he does have the ability to make her pasal to a kohen by marrying her to a kohen gadol, and then she'll be tofus, and then she'll be aser to kohen. So let her in that case that she's an almana, let the father be married to say that she's a shvuya. The one answers, Rav Yeshiva. People say yeshiva, but in the pasuk the very Yomim it says Yeshivav, so they say the correct way is Yeshivav. Rav Yeshivav dama boy una savach ala Akiva ben Yosef shaya omer kol she'eno bi Yisrael avlad mamzer. Rav Yeshivav, when he quotes Rabbi Kiva, he says let's all come and scream against Rabbi Kiva that holds that anybody that's not allowed to have relations, the child is a mamzer. He's coming to argue Rabbi Kiva, but when he quotes Rabbi Kiva, he says that anybody that has Isser to marry the kid is a mamzer. It means he doesn't say that there's an exception of a Aman l'kohen gadol. Rav Simoy before said that according to Rabbi Kiva, he holds that a Aman l'kohen gadol Kiddushin is tofus. Rabbi Yeshiva argues and says no, that Rabbi Kiva holds that's also a mamzer. Now we found that the Mishnah could go according to all these shittas that according to Rabbi Yeshiva's version of Rabbi Kiva, he didn't find the case that the father has jurisdiction over his daughter to make a pasal the kohen, because all the cases are not going to be tofus Kiddushin, and therefore the father doesn't have jurisdiction to do that. That's why he's not able to say that she was captured. But the Gemara says that's also not so simple. The Gemara still says that maybe Rabbi Kiva agrees. Now, what does Rabbi Kiva hold about chayvei asay? Before I jumped the gun and Nissen said correctly that Aman is allowed, but there are other things that are an asay, like Mitzri, Adomi. Over there, it doesn't say don't marry. It says marry the third. After 3 generations, the third generation is allowed to marry. Or how does it say over there? Lo yavo Mitzri b'kal Hashem gam dor shlishi. No. Yavo lo say Mitzri.
What?
How does it say by Mitzri and Adomi over there?
There was 3 to 4 generations.
Which one? 3 or 4?
I think it's 3.
The third one is already gone. Then could come. So the fact that you're not allowed to marry the Mitzri, the first or second generation of Mitzri, after the Megayah, the first generation, second generation, not allowed to marry, only the third generation is allowed to marry. So it's only not say to marry a Mitzri, is only a Isra say. So people Kiddushin is tofus b'chayvei asay. Does he agree or not? So the words that he said, literally, Rabbi Yeshiva said, Kol should be Yisrael of Lad Mamzer, which sounds like whoever's not allowed to have relations is a Mamzer. If you take it literally, it means even chayvei asay also. You might say he's not talking about generally. It means in contrast to what Rabbi Simoy said, Lafukim with Rabbi Simoy, he does said that anybody, even Aman l'kohen gadol, like that, that means that he also agrees that chayvei asay Kiddushin. So in short, what the Gemara means to ask is that even Rabbi Kiva, there's a case where Kiddushin is tofus, and the father has jurisdiction to marry her to a Chai B'Yaseh, and over there she will become possible to marry a Kohen because she's not allowed to have relations with such a man. And it doesn't make her possible to a Kohen. So we still she's possible to marry a Kohen. There's some case where he has an ability to make her possible to a Kohen by marrying her to somebody that he does have pieces Kiddushin, and he has the jurisdiction to marry her. You're not allowed to do all these things, but he has the capability of doing it. If he would do it, it would happen. So how come he's not able to say that she's possible to Kohen? All that is the Gemara's question. And now on the first white line, Amar Rav Ashi. Now we get back to the beginning that was already protested. That this Rachel Mishum to be other. Go back to the beginning, to line 1, and you learned the Mishnah. The reason why Neman in the first case to say that she was Kidashti and Kidashti Vigirashi is because it's Biyado. Is it Biyado? The Rachel, the first case where I spoke about Kidashti Vigirashti. We said it's Neman because it's Biyado. He could accept Kiddushin for her. He could accept Gerushin. The Gemara says that's not true. He the Biyado Lakasha, Biyado Lakasha. It is true that he can marry off to who he wants to, but could he make the husband divorce her? It's true that he has the hand to be able to accept the gerushin, but the husband has to want to divorce her. So it's not biyada, and also it's not biyada to marry off either. Either one more high, the law nicha begava, he mustn't be kaddish no law balkorche. He can't force anybody to marry her either. It's true he has the jurisdiction that he could accept the agree to Kiddushin, but you have to have a chassan. So who says it's biyada to kaddish her? The reason to say that he's believed that he married her off because it's biyada to marry her off. It's not biyada to marry her off. It's not biyada to the boy can get divorced. It's not even biyada to make her marry. So the more exploded how to.
Fossil is also going to be a very.
What?
And all the cases that we brought down is.
And that didn't bother the Gemara. No, but here the Gemara is saying that there's a technical not because of Allah, but because technically it's not his decision. You have to have a chassan. It's not enough to have just the father wants, and it happens many times. The father wants and the chassan doesn't want. So that's the most cast. The more exploded the whole reason. Everything we did till now is not really the pshat, not to forget it, but it's not true. It's not pshat the Mishnah. The Mishnah has nothing to do with biyada.
What do you mean? If he pays enough money, he'll find a house.
It's not like that. It's not called biyada.
Not all the time.
No, but also it's only
It doesn't go all the time.
bad for them to really be married. But if he just wants to make Kaddish and make a promise, he
Even-
pays $100.
So it seems not like that. And the more before a couple of pages ago, we talked about even is it biyada to become ger? So it says you need 3 people, and who says you're going to get 3 people? Who says you're going to get 3
You
people?
need 3 Talmidei Chachamim.
So get enough money.
To convince a Talmidei Chacham, here you just have to push back. You get a push back to do it.
So the Gemara doesn't look at it like that. How do you say that the money can't buy everything?
Bomb.
Okay, so then now we have to back to base 1, first base. What's it called? That we didn't do anything. Means we tried. We thought we had Pshat the Reisha, we just didn't understand the Pshat the Sefer. Now we don't understand Pshat the Reisha anymore. So we go back to the Mishnah. Why in the world is the father Nema to say that he married off his daughter? We don't even know that. We don't even know that. And once we know that, we have to know how come the case is not Nema. We don't know anything anymore. So the Gemara's third wide line, Elam Rabashi, Reisha Rachman Hemne. There's a pasuk to say that his belief to say that he married off his daughter. Ravuna, Dan Ravuna Marav, Torah. How do you know the father's believed to answer his daughter by saying that she's married? Shenemar is beating asati l'shazeh. That's the pasuk. But let's talk about really about Motzi Shem, that the new husband says that he married her and she's not a virgin and she was Mazana and she's Chayv Misa, the whole story. And then the father comes and says it's not it's baloney. She's basula. She was a basula, and I gave as beating asati l'shazeh. Let's see the pasuk.
It's it.
Asati l'shazeh. How come I always get it wrong? It's always on there. Are they consistent about where they put the psukim? Are they
But how does the father really know that the daughter is the psula?
How do you know? His husband wants to kill her. So his wife, by saying that she was Mizana, it's not even enough to say that he found that she wasn't a Basula. That's not enough. You have to know when she was Mizana. If she was Mizana before marriage, there's no. So the story, the pasuk talks about it very superficially, so to speak, and there's a lot behind it. When the husband means he's bringing Eidim, that she was Mizana, and the father's bringing Eidim to show that she's not. It's not just the simple words. That's how the Gemara seems to explain. But here's the pasuk. The father comes and says, I gave my daughter to this man, and he hates her, and therefore he made for her a lago that she was Mazana, and it's not true. I could prove that she was not Mazana or not Mazana while she was married. And then the whole Motzi Shemra that if the father's right, so then the guy's a Motzi Shemra, he has to keep married to her forever, and he also has to give like Malchus, and also what else is there? 100 Zuz, 100 then. So and if the husband is right, then they kill the woman. Anyway, the case starts off. I gave this man to my daughter to this man, and in the Pashup Shad, it just means that this is the husband that I married my daughter to. But the Gemara sees it very literal. I gave my daughter to this man. That means that he has the jurisdiction to marry her to a man, and he also is believed. The fact that he says as beaten asati lishazeh, he's believed to say. The Torah gave him the manas to say, I married her to this man. And the Gemara explains what it sees in this pasuk. The pasuk is this: as beaten asati lishazeh. Laish asra and hazeh itira. That let's say wouldn't say hazeh as beaten asati laish. I gave my daughter to a man, so she's also to marry anybody else because he's believed to say I married her to a man, and she wouldn't be allowed to marry, and so she's mutter to everybody else. She's mutter to him. If you only would have said as beaten asati, he'd be believed, and she wouldn't be allowed to marry anybody because she's married to somebody. And when he says, I gave her to this man, that means he is believed to say that this man is mutter. So we see that Torah believed in both as far as answering her to other people, and also as far as being mutter her. And the Tosfos Riyazakin says that here the Gemara is happy to say that he's also believed to say that she got divorced, because it really doesn't say that. It really just says that I married her to this person. So I married her off, that would have asked her to everybody. And I said I married her off to this person, so he's mutter to marry. But since you see that the father is believed to make her mutter to somebody after he asked her, so the Gemara doesn't see a difference by saying that this is the person or by saying that the person that married her to divorced her. So that's why we see that he's believed also to say that she was divorced. The word la'ish makes her asa to everybody, and the word hazeh makes her mutter to that person. And so too, this you have to add on, so too, it means that he's believed to say that she was divorced, because he has the right to say that she's mutter from the marriage. Either mutter from the marriage by being this is the chassan, or that the chassan divorced her, and therefore she's mutter to marry everybody. And that's how the Gemara sees that. That's back to the first thing.
That might mean that should be a certificate.
Even though that makes her a certificate, right? And that you don't see in the point about this, about the case of the heter. But she's believed that. He believes that, and that's
the Nisuin. it means both.
Now the Gemara continues.
Kiddushin and
The Nisuin hemla Rahman Allah. The Shvuya lo hemla. Nisuin means the Irish of Kiddushin. That's what it means. That as far as marriage,
also and the Kiddushin.
You're right. All the issues, the marriage issues, the Torah trusts him, but not by Shvuya. There's no pasuk, not because nothing's beyond over
There's
here.
nothing permitted. It's not in his hands to also.
It's not. Nothing's in his hands
That's
over
why
here.
it's different than the Reisha.
Again,
The Reisha had to do with
marriage,
forbidding and permitting.
with marriage, as far as marriage goes.
Yeah.
That's all the Torah only trusted him, gave him authority to be believed only as far as marriage issues, which includes marriage and divorce. But it doesn't give him any namanas to have the other issues.
Well, I thought it was because of the and prohibition.
No, because we said that he's believed both for both. The ish asra hazeh tira. He does have namanas. No, either one. He's married. He's believed to say that she's married. And if he would say as kirashi as biti and it doesn't say who, so just everybody. That was yesterday's mission. Right. And here it says that kirashi. He's never to say that she got released out of that problem. The same way he's never to say that this is the man who she's married to and everybody else, and he's wanted to marry her. He also can say that she was divorced, which is a chiddush, but that's how maybe we're learning. And therefore he's believed to God these two wishes only, as far as marrying her off and as far as accepting her Kiddushin because of pasuk, only because of pasuk. With biyado, nothing's biyado. And therefore
it's not the factor.
Right, there's not biyado. It came out as not biyado. He doesn't have the ability to marry her, doesn't have marry her to divorce her. And it's only because of a pasuk, and the pasuk is only by Kiddushin and Gerushin, not by Shvuya or anything else. And that's the end of the Gemara. That's good. Related topic. Nothing to do with Kiddushin, I think. And that's because we spoke about the father being believed, not being believed. So now we talk about the husband being believed. Something about Yibum over
That's
here.
what this question have to do. A couple gets married. In the morning, the husband comes and says that my wife wasn't a virgin. Is he believed?
So as far as now if she's already a big girl and it's
Right,
not a
that's
kasha that she
right,
doesn't,
right.
it's not a kasha anymore. She doesn't have blood because a lot of these things happen once they get bigger. So then it's not a raya even if she doesn't.
Oh, so right, it's not right.
The only thing that's only by Ketana. By Ketana, he's come to Yama to say that if she doesn't have a
Let's say today,
today,
regular marriage today.
right? So it wouldn't be it wouldn't do
be, no,
anything.
it-
And yet, and even if the most would be that she wouldn't get ksuba. The most would be that, but nothing. It just says that she's not a virgin. So I thought she was a virgin. I gave her ksuba for 200, only ksuba for 100. That's the only issue
so
that could
but
be.
they
Nothing,
came-
nothing about a motzi shema,
Uh,
and you have to bring Aiden that she was mazana. That's a
Right.
Whatever it is.
well,
If she was Rosanna, it's not it's not.
right. There's no but now it's only gonna be if she was mazana before they got married. It's also
Right,
not
so
an
it's
issue,
not-
not his issue.
so,
Okay. And as far as they're saying ksuba, I think he's believed in even without Aiden. Okay. No subject, nothing to do with us, just a little bit later topic. Misha Amar B'Shas Misas Yesh Neman. Yesh Tiyachem Enu Neman. There was a couple married, and as far let's say the Pashas is that we didn't know that he had children, we didn't know that he had brothers, and he says now when he's dying, he says that my wife is Chayiv Yibum or apart from Yibum. I say either case. The first case is he says
he
Yesh
says-
Libanim. Yesh Libanim means he's saying that my wife is part from Yibum. I'm going to die now, and nobody knows that I have children. You should know I have children.
I had children before this. Right?
Yeah, it does make a difference. Doesn't have to be this much. If he has children, she's part of me. So we thought we didn't know about it. It seems like we didn't know about it. We thought they didn't have any children. He's going to die now. The wife's going to be and he comes before he dies, and he says on his deathbed, "I have children someplace, wherever it is. I have a child someplace, and she's part of me." Never. He's believed that she doesn't have to do Yibum. She can, when he dies, she can marry out. But if he says Yesh Liachim, but till now we didn't know that he had brothers, and he has no children. But he has no brothers either, so she's not Chayiv Yibum, and she can marry out. But before he dies, he says she's my brother. And now she's Chayiv Yibum. Ain't no now. Chayiv Yibum to who? Who's the brother? It's not here. He doesn't have a brother someplace in Honolulu. So she's not set to marry. So ain't no now, and she can marry out. And the Mishnah doesn't explain
It
why.
makes no difference on the relationship if they have a good match. If he likes her, doesn't like her.
I think even though there might be such a we're not going to decide. We're not going to decide if they had problems or not. We're going to say
Sometimes it's evident.
Nothing's ever.
What if he's already Tover and Rabbanut? It's pretty evident that he doesn't like her.
That's it.
I don't know the answer. Okay, so the Gemara wants to know what's the word over here. So far, it sounds like the Mishnah says that if he's helping her out, he's never to be matter. That she till now we thought she was not. She was going to be Chayiv Yibum, and he came to say that she's not.
That's good.
That's good. That's pleased for that, but he's not Neman to say that she's Chayiv Yibum if we thought that she was not.
Right.
If so, very nice, but it's not so simple. If so, it's against Rabbi Nosson. There is, we'll bring out a brisa that says two opinions, and if so, our Mishnah of Eino Neman is going to be against Rabbi Nosson. The Tanya, B'shas Kiddushin Nama Yesh Li Banim, B'shas Misha Ama Ein Li Banim. When he got married, so he told his kala that I have children. No, don't worry, no problem about Yibam. I have children, and even if I die without children from you, but there's no Yibam involved because I have a child. But then he never saw the child. He just said I have children, and then B'shas Nisa, he said, it's not true that I don't have any children. So now that I die, you are going to be Chayiv Yibam. He's coming to answer. He's coming to say Chayiv Yibam. That's similar to the last case. Or B'shas Kiddushin Achim. Again, the same idea. When he got married, he said, no problem, but even don't worry, even if we have no children, there's no even if I have no brothers. But then B'shas Misa Yesh Liachim, and then he surprises her before he dies. He says that there is Yibum. Now that I'm going to die, there is a Yibum issue. So that's so far nice. Fit to get mamish like our Mishnah that he's not Nemel Lesser. That's what our Mishnah says. That there is no case of Nemel Hatri over here. The Brisa, both cases is talking about a Nemel Lesser. It's saying you believe what he said when he got married,
Right?
But you don't believe what he said when he's ready to die. In both cases, he wanted to answer. You don't believe. That's very nice with the Mishnah. What Rav Nosson Omer of Nemel Lesser. Oh, Rav Nosson seems to be arguing on Mishnah. It says that if he says when he's dying that she's Chayiv Yibum, he is Nemel. That's against our Mishnah. So it wouldn't be terrible. It would be Mishnah be like Rebbe instead of Rav Nosson, but the mothers want to do that. It wants to fit our Mishnah even according to Rav Nosson. Amar Rabba Shani Yasuf Chibin B'Shas Misa Kahada Be Emakush to come. So Rabba finds a difference between the Mishnah and the Brisa because the Mishnah didn't say about what he said at the time of marriage, It doesn't say he said anything. It just starts B'Shas Misa. The Mishnah just introduces us. The curtain rises, whatever, B'Shas Misa. But the Brisa says the first story. That was when they got married, he said everything's fine. And now he's come to say that it's not fine. So there the Gemara sees more reason why he should be believed. So over there in the Brisa, since B'Shas Misa, he's retracting what he had said from when they got married. Maybe he's saying the truth. Why? I don't know. Why is there more reason that he's saying the truth?
If he said something at the beginning.
And now he's contradicting himself. He's saying I lied at the time. When we got married, I lied.
I wanted her to marry me, so I told her that she has no problems. But now he realizes that he's going to be marshal.
And the case of the Mishnah, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened at the time of the marriage. We come into the story when he's dying, and he says that she's until now that she thought obviously she thought that she was not chayiv in Ibn, and he's coming to Mechadish that there's a chayiv Ibn. So why are you not trusting him? What's he doing it for? Over there, there's more. Since he was the one who said that she's mutter, so now we have more reason to say he's doing tshuva and doesn't want to mess her up on his account. But he's not going to mess. He's coming to take away the mikshel that he made. He made a mikshel by saying she's not chayiv yibum, so he wants to fix it up. But in the case of the Mishnah, that we don't know what happened with Kiddushin, he never said anything, so it wouldn't be his fault. So therefore, maybe you don't trust him. That's what Rabbi seems to say. But Abaye doesn't understand it. Amalei Abaye, Balav Kol Duken. Maybe he say, let's say, Kushta means truth. We'll say, or at least a chance that he's saying the truth. Ema, I say, Kushta Kamar, he's saying the truth. We believe him in or at least Chumrah, we're going to believe him and she'll be also to marry out because there's maybe a Yavam, because maybe he's retracting what he messed her up. But he lied to her when he got married. But Abai says it's the opposite for her. Balav Kol Duken who? Is it not a Kol Shkein? Is it not a Kol Chomer? In the case of the Brisa that he says he was lying, he's contradicting himself. He once upon a time told us that she's no evil. And now he's saying that there is evil, and you still believe him. So Basis in the local like Kolshkein, in the case of the Mishnah where he's not contradicting himself, he never told us differently. And he's coming to say now that she's chayiv in evil. Why should you not trust him? Over there, trust him even if you say that saying I was lying. So Abai didn't understand about Rabba's Sforah. And he continues, like Rabba seems to be off, and the Gemara is looking for a pshat in the Mishnah. How could you reconcile the Mishnah with Rav Nosson? Rav Nosson says in the Brisa that he's Neman to say that she's chayiv in evil, and the Mishnah says Eino Neman. This is these two things we're trying to reconcile over here. Rav Nosson says
a general question on the Mishnah.
Yeah.
Why? The first thing that I thought of was in terms of Yerusha. Like if he says that he has children and then she's not going to inherit, she thought
she never inherits. The wife never inherits her husband.
Who would it go to?
To the father, to the brothers. A wife doesn't inherit her
There's
husband.
no father and there's no brother.
So you always go to the men. Always goes to the mishpacha side. You always go to the uncles, to the next generation. It always goes with the men. The wife never inherits her husband.
And daughters.
She only has
And
men and daughters. I see.
Amar, that was advice kasha. So we're up to 3 lines in the bottom. How are we going to reconcile with lesson with the Mishnah? Is the husband believed to say that she's chayiv yibum? There are 2 different cases. The Mishnah starts with a scenario. We didn't know that he had brothers. We didn't know that he had sons. And therefore, what's that? That's a chazaka that she's not chayiv yibum. Because it's true there are no sons, but there are no brothers either. So the chazaka is that she's not chayiv yibum. Since, as far as we know, we don't know that he has sons or brothers, and there's no chiyuv yibum. When he says, I have sons, he's Neman. It's not really Neman. What's the difference if he has sons? There's no yibum anywhere. It's not really such a Neman. It means, Yeshli Banim Neman. Why? Because it doesn't make a difference. Because he has a chazak anyway that there's no yibum. He didn't do anything with that. It's not really trusting him. Even if you don't trust him, there's a chazak. She's not chayiv yibum because there's no brothers. So I'm not sure what the Gemara means with that. But the Yeshli Yachamenu Neman, because Lav Kol Kaminei, they also like Kuli Alma. The case where, as far as we know, there's no chiv yibum, and he comes to go against the chazaka. Yesh liyachim, and now there is in a number. It's not nema to answer her against the chazaka. Okay, the mission is good, but the case now the brisa. The case of the brisa that he is nema. Brisa the muchzak. Sorry. The muchzak lan ba'ache. The muchzak lan ba'ache. The muchzak lan ba'ache. The muchzak lan ba'bni. That there is a chazaka, that there is a chiv yibum. You have to have both. You have to have both. You have to have both reasons in order to be chayiv yibum. That there's a brother and there's no son. That's what ingredients that be chayiv yibum.
Yeah.
And the chazak is that there was a chiv yibum. And at the time of marriage, he said there's not chiv yibum. And at the time of marriage, he went against the chazaka. And then at the time of death, he goes back to the chazaka again. Right? That's what happened over there. That the Gemara is telling us this information that there was a chazaka, that there was a chiv yibum. It didn't say that. In the Mishnah that says when they got married, he told her that he's not chayiv yibum. But the Gemara is throwing in that there was a chazaka, that there was a chiv yibum. And by the marriage, he told her, "There's no worry, my honey. There's no chiv yibum." But then when he dies, he says, "I fooled you the whole time, and really the chazaka was right. There is a chiv yibum."
At the time of the marriage, she said, even though I heard about it, it doesn't matter because right now,
because why?
it's not a yellow
It's not,
right now.
I hope that what?
I hope it shouldn't be an issue.
And an issue will have children, or I'll die
I'll die
first,
first.
whatever. Or Mashiach will come first, whatever, all kinds of things people don't think about the future. But the chazaka was that there was a chiv yibum. And he said at the marriage that there's no chiv yibum. The Amrina Mali L'Shakeh, he has some kind of a Mali L'Shakeh means what did I have to lie for? Why, which is the way we say migu always. I could have, if I was lying, I could have done it a different way. My kamar, the miftaru miyavam. What's the purpose? When he got married, what did he say? That I'm not, whatever he said, that I have no brothers or I have sons, in order to get her out of Yibam. He wanted to say, don't worry, I'll get you, there's no chiv yibum. If I die without children, you're not going to be subject to yibum because I have sons or because I have no brothers. But matzi amar patan alach begita. If he wanted to, he could say, don't worry, if it comes a question about yibum, I'll give you a get before I die. So that's the reason why he should be neman at the time of marriage. That's the nidon. So it comes out that the brisa is, let's continue. The one is now going to explain what they're arguing about. The case was that he was going against the chazaka at the time of marriage, when he said you're not chayiv in yibum, and the reason that the koch that he had was he had a migu, he had a mali l'shakeh. What did I have to lie for? So are we going to believe what he said at the time of marriage? Rebbe Saba mali l'shakeh kiedim damin. Rebbe holds that migu mali l'shakeh. What did I have to lie? Migu is as strong as Zaydim, and therefore us Zaydim akri chazaka. He's believed at the time of marriage because he has a big strong koch. His koch is as strong as Zaydim. It's as if he has Zaydim. By saying that I didn't have to lie, it's as strong as Zaydim. So we believe him that whatever he says, that I have no brothers, that I have a son. Rav Nosson says that Amali L'Shak is not so strong as Zaydim. It's only as strong as a Chazaka. It's not strong enough to uproot other Chazaka. It means the Chazaka was that there's a Chiv Yibum. He came with Amali L'Shak to say there's no Chiv Yibum. Rav Nosson says it's not very strong. It's a strong, it's equal. It's like as strong as it. So it doesn't mean you believe in it. Now the last word says Legamri. It's not over with Legamri. What happened over here? So the brisa, if you look after Gemara's explanation, the brisa seems very strange because it talks about if he's neman at the time of death, and the Gemara is not really looking at the time of death. The Gemara is talking about the time of marriage. Let's just try to get it on the screen again.
That's also a year again.
No, but now the question is, now he died without it. He died without it. He said, "Don't worry," but
Don't worry, but then
he died without it. So the case of the brisa that it said, here's the brisa, right? That at the time of marriage he said there's no chiv yibum, yesh tibonim, and then at death he said you are chayiv yibum. So it says Rav Nosson says that he's neman lesser. Now the neman lesser, the words of the brisa sound like you're trusting what he said at the time of death, and the Gemara doesn't seem to say that. The Gemara seems to say that you don't trust what he said at the time of marriage. The Gemara is giving us a lot of information. There's a story behind the whole thing. The story is that there was a chazaka that she's chayiv yibum. At the time of marriage, he said, "You're not chayiv yibum. I'm not chayiv yibum."
He really had brothers.
and he says, I have brothers or I have sons. You have no brother. The chazak is the news that the muhzak is that he has a brother, he doesn't have a son. And when she's getting married to him, there's a possibility of Yibum if he dies. And he said, don't worry, there's no Yibum issue either because I have no brothers or because I have a son. And really the issue is right there, as he believed at that point. The Rice doesn't talk about it. The Rice talks about it, and now at death, he goes back to the Chazaka again. And if Rav Nosson says he's Ne'eman Lesor, it sounds a little bit that he's Ne'eman at the time of death. And the Gemara is telling us more information that there was Chazaka. And his marriage, what he said, the heter at the time of marriage, that wasn't believed. So it's not so much that he's Ne'eman Lesor, just saying that he never was believed in the first place because he's going against Chazaka. So the Rice is very difficult the way the Gemara is explaining it. Rashi says that the last word in the Gemara means the Gamri. It doesn't knock off the Chazaka of the Gamri. Rashi says, where's the Rashi that I saw? Umiyu ilo hadarbe avashariya la'alma. Rashi says a couple of lines before the Mishnah. Rashi says that the issue is only because at the time of death he went back and he agreed to the Chazaka that she's really Chayiv Yibum. But if he wouldn't have, then she would be mutter. Even though Rav Nosson says that his words, his Mali the Shaka was not enough to knock off the Chazaka, and the Chazaka was the Chayiv Yibum, she'd be potter. But Irue Muya Israel, it does weaken it. As long as he doesn't deny the first words that he said, yes, Mehemen, it would be believed to say he's not Chayiv Yibum. Because he went to an affair by saying that there's no Chayiv Yibum if there really is. He was Velolo. What does it mean? Because when he got married, he said that there's no Chayiv Yibum. Is that called sinning without any personal interest? The reason why he said is because he wanted her to marry him.
Right.
But the more is calling that.
But now that it's gone, now that it's dying, now.
Again,
Now there is no reason to lie.
Oh, so now we should have
Now
said, that's called that he's, even though he has to say he's lied, not so comfortable. But even that, it's not considered a personal gain, and he would have said so. So
Saying something.
he's saying what?
Something, so we're gonna believe what he's saying.
What could she do to him when he's dying? No food, but he
Even though he's saying that he had lied, they wouldn't have not.
so do me something.
So what happened over here? We have to be Misakim. I'm not sure how to be Misakim this. The issue is he believed against the Chazaka? The Gemara comes out, Machlokes Rebbe and Rav Nosson, if he's believed against the Chazaka, it would have mali the Shaka. If he has a koach that I could have gotten out of this without lying, maybe go against the Chazaka. Rebbe holds is very strong. It knocks off the Chazaka and he's believed. And that's going to be the pshat in the case where he goes against the Chazaka at the time of marriage, or maybe at the time of death also. If he has a mali the shaka that he could have given her a get, maybe it's the reason why he should be believed. To say she's not Chayiv Yibum. And it doesn't know that it's only as a strength of a Chazaka, and you have to take into consideration if he agrees to the Chazaka, to the original Chazaka, so then we're not going to believe. What is it? Ne'eman Lesor. He's going to believe the Asa if he agrees to the original Chazaka. I can't say that I have it enough to explain the sequence.
Yibum. It has to be a full brother, same mother and father, or just like
Yibum is only the father. Brother's the
only
same
the father.
father.
If it's the same father and a different mother, then you still need.
Yes.
But if it's the same mother and the father is
no
different, then no.
This we had already says more or less Chazara, so even though it's still a to go, but we learned most of it already, so let's try. Hamakadash is Bito Islam in a Bogus B'chlam. If that's a Mishnah by itself, we can stop right there. If somebody marries his daughter, and he doesn't say which daughter, he married off his daughter, he didn't say which one. A chassan wants a daughter, I have daughters. Yeah, I'm accepting Kiddushin from my daughter, one of my daughters. So it's only the Ketanos, because he has jurisdiction over his Ketanos. But the Bogros are not included. Now, of course, they're not included because he doesn't have jurisdiction over them. So the Gemara is going to talk about that. It could be a case where they made him a shliach. But we'll see the Gemara. But this seems to be simple, because since he doesn't have jurisdiction to
But
marry
if he
over
has
his.
but if he has a couple of daughters that are katanas, then there's a problem.
All right, so very nice. That's what the Gemara is going to say, that the diak is that there are many daughters that are katanos, and all the daughters that are katanos, they're the ones who are in He doesn't know which one it is. They have to get a get from all of them. He has to give a get to all of them.
Right.
He can't marry any one of them because it might be a sister of his real wife. That's what the Gemara thinks it says. The Mishnah said very good, that the Mishnah wants to tell you that the ketanos are b'chalal, and even though there are a couple of them, so he has to give a get to all of them. He can't marry any one of them because maybe it's going to be a chosishta. A new Mishnah. He has two groups of daughters from two wives. He has two wives, each one has two daughters. He has four daughters. He says, I did marry. I remember I married Biti Agadola. That's the one I took for this chassan. But I don't know which one I meant. I forgot which one I meant. Any of them, Gedola Shebigdolos, or Gedola Shebigtanos, or Tana Shebigdolos. She Gdolam, Gedolos Shebigtanos. I don't remember what I meant. Did I mean the oldest, or did I mean the oldest of the young group? Also called the oldest, older, or did I mean the second of the oldest group, which at least is older than somebody? So all those three are in the suffix. The youngest one for sure is not. He called her Gedola. She's not a Gedola. So anybody that's in the suffix, he might have meant. And therefore, they're all also means that they all need a get besides the youngest one. That he didn't mean. He definitely meant the oldest, because he wouldn't. The going to say, wouldn't have said something would have been obscure and only the oldest, right? The oldest of the oldest. And he didn't mean anybody else. It's a question of what people mean. Would a person say a word that later on he might not be clear? So he surely would have said something that's clear.
One thing, the chassan doesn't care which one it is.
He didn't even specify the time. The father didn't specify which one it is. He says, I have a bunch of daughters. I'm married to one of them. And he said, okay, I'll give Kiddushin for that.
So the chassan agrees to what the father wants.
He's a very rich man, the father. You see that? He doesn't care. He wants the guy's money. That's all. He doesn't care.
He wants the father-in-law.
He wants the father-in-law's money. You got to forget about the girl.
And the same thing is also an opposite case when he said the young one. Kidashi es bidi aktana. Same idea, that's the opposite. That he said, I married my young daughter. He doesn't know which one. Then you them ktana shebiktanos, ktana shebikdolos, gdolos shebiktanos, she ktana min ktana shebikdolos. I don't know if I meant the youngest, or the youngest of the older group, or the
Youngest of the
older of the youngest group, which is a bit younger than somebody. So again, Rav Meir says all the fakers go into the problem. Only the oldest is surely not wasn't called young, because she's not young at all. She's the oldest. Everybody else is in the suffix. So again, he meant to say something which is absolute, and if he said Tani, he meant the most young. The more goes back to the beginning of the Mishnah, which the first Mishnah, altogether, that says when he says he married his daughter, when he married off one of his daughters, without saying which one it is, he only meant the Ketanos. He didn't mean the Bogros. But the Gemara problem, this is a copy and paste from the Gemara that we had a couple of pages ago, many pages ago, and it talks about Ketanos B'chlal. You mean to say that all the Ketanos are going to be in the separate. He married daughter Stam, and he didn't specify which one, so it might have been any one of them, and they all need to get. That's not true. I mean, at least Shama, Kiddushin, Shem, Rasul, and Libya have Kiddushin. Now, this man made Kiddushin with somebody that he can never have relations with, because can't have this woman because it might be a chosishta. So nobody should be. Rabbi holds that Kiddushin Shem Rasul and Libya is not Kiddushin. Kiddushin is only Chal Kiddushin if it's possible to have relations, but if it's a Kiddushin which is not possible to have relations, or as Tosha says that this Kiddushin made it not marriageable, so it's not Chal. So the Gemara has a right from here that Kiddushin Shem Rasul and Libya is Kiddushin. And it happens to be that's this we pass like that. We pass that like a bike. This is Yal Kigam. This is the Kuf. Kiddushin Shem Rasul and Libya is Kiddushin, and the Mishnah makes sense. The way Moshe said it, that the older ones are not included, the younger ones are included, and they only to get because Kiddushin is Chal, even though it's not Rasul and Libya. But the Gemara brings it right, wants to think about from our Mishnah. So Rabbi says I can get out of it. Don't take it that the Mishnah says there are many girls, there are many gedolos, many getanos. There's only one adult and one minor, and therefore the gedol is not in the question. It's only the ketana. But bogus ketan, what? But bogus ketani, it doesn't say that. It says bogus. So bogus means bogus and ketanos. My bogus dalma doesn't mean this case had a bunch of big girls. Any case, but there's any case like that, any case that would happen like this, that the older one is not included. But the Gemara says that's the case, that there's only one Gedol and one Ketana, so there's no Chiddush. If there'd be many Gedols, many Ketanas, you have at least a Chiddush, like Kiddushin Shem Masurim L'Biyah, the Ketanas are. But if he says only one Gedol, one Ketana, of course he didn't mean the Bulgarians, he doesn't have jurisdiction. Shita, Babos might be to tell you, he doesn't have any kind of jurisdiction over them. What that's showing on the picture. Gemara says, no, my skin that she made him a shliach, though. And now he has two daughters to marry off. One is a Ketana, that he has jurisdiction. One is a Gedol who made him a shliach. So therefore, you might say that when you accept a Kiddushin, you get it for the older daughter. Maurutem, like the Kabbalah Kiddushin had died to the Dokam Makabah, and Mashmalam, or Shabakinish, Midi this day, Anamine, David Midi, the less day, Anamine. You might have thought that he's going to accept a Kiddushin for the older one. We would say, of course, the older one goes first. But the Gemara doesn't have that cheshbon. The Gemara says that you might have taken for the older one, Kamash Malan, that since you made a Mashliach, Kamash Malan, no, that he's the younger one, he gets something out of it. He gets the money. The Kiddushin money goes to him. By the older one, the Kiddushin money doesn't go to him. So he's not going to pass up the opportunity to make money, which is not so noble over here. But the Gemara thinks that he maybe for sure will take the Ketana, marry off the Ketana first, because he'll get money out of it. But the Gemara says, no. Who says that the case is where he's not going to get any money from the Gedola? First white line, Milo Askinan, the Amrulei Kedusha Lach. Isn't it even the case where the older daughter told her, you can keep my Kiddushin money. I'll make you a shliach and you keep the Kiddushin money, and he doesn't have any more benefit from marrying her, the Ketana, than the Gedola. So how come you're saying that automatically it means the Ketana, maybe it means the Gedola? If he has a choice to marry off two of his daughters, one of them is a Ketana, and that's his chiv to marry off Ketana, and the other one is not his responsibility because she's already Gedola and she's on her own. So he's going to first do the mitzvah that's responsible for him, and therefore, if he has two daughters to marry off, one of them is already 12 and a half, and one of them is less. He's going to take the one, marry the younger one because that's his business. Ramya, it's thrown on him. It's his responsibility. Ramya.
To be a shliach, it's not thrown up.
It's not his responsibility. He could be a shliach, but it's she's the one who's getting. Now we had a cash over there that it is the father's responsibility to marry off his daughter even after she's 12 and a half. And I would say you could say less, but here's a responsibility. It's not just him having to make him a shliach because I think I proved it. I think it's a good proof, man. Unless someone structures it up, that over there it says there's a chiv to marry off your son, and by your son it's surely not your jurisdiction to do the marriage. You have to just get him to do it, and he's also 13 already, and still it's called your responsibility. That's one of the 5 things the father has to do for his son. And the girl is also the same pasuk over there. So the Chari for sure has a responsible to marry off his daughters already, like we all do. We try to marry off our daughters even though they're 12 and a half already. So like Avrohom said, that it's more of a chiyuv on the Ketana. Why? Because she can't do it herself. She can't do it herself. And here here she could do it herself. I also could do it. She could do it herself. So this all was the answer of Rava, who says that Kiddushin Shem Yisrael L'Biyah is not Kiddushin, but we don't need it. We don't need it. Kiddushin Shem Yisrael L'Biyah Ketanos, and the Chiddush of the Mishnah is Kiddushin Shem Yisrael L'Biyah is Kiddushin. What? Shav to leave. He's not going to leave a mitzvah which is his responsibility and do a mitzvah which is not his responsibility. You can go a little further if that's okay.
Yeah.
The Mishnah had 2 cases, one of the oldest and the youngest. He said Gedola. So the question, does he mean the oldest? So he means any one of the older ones. He says Ketana, does he mean the Ketana, or any one of the Ketanos? With Shricha, it's necessary to say both Mishnayos, even though it's all the same thing. Yes, Mina Kamaisa, if it be the case of the Gedola, the Chibandika is Vitra Mina, Lahach, Gedola Karila. I don't say, I don't know if I understand it, maybe somebody can help me out, that there's as far to say that Rav Meir says when you say the older one, you don't have to mean the oldest. Maybe the other ones, the number, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe Rav Meir says that you don't only call the oldest one Gedola. Maybe the other ones you also call Gedola the biggest group, or the older one of the second group. But except Ketana, maybe he also agrees that they only call Ketana the youngest of the youngest. Maybe that's a little bit lashon me'adra. Maybe in Amy Moder Rabbi Yossi the Ketana Lach Ketana the Kulu Karila, that he also might agree that when you say Ketana you mean the youngest. And yet Mabaha, if only to the case of the youngest, welcome Rabbi Yossi. Only in that case does he say that the youngest means the youngest. Aval Bahach, in the case of Gedola, Ema Modi Leila Rav Meir, Tzricha. So that Lachor has to do with We'll do it again tomorrow. I guess the talk is not enough to do it. So we'll continue again, I guess, from the second white line again. Yashikov.
64.